Okay, hello everyone. This is a blue screen that is about to boot up into Ninja Gaiden. And today I decided I'm going to run through on my original NES Ninja Gaiden for the Nintendo and see how I do. I originally wanted this to be a completely blind run of the game, like haven't played it in decades and probably am terrible at it. Turns out just in the course of anticipating it, I ended up playing the game, ended up practicing some, and so this is not the blind run that I originally intended, but nonetheless it is an opportunity to play it and see how I do. Again, on original hardware, no such thing as save states or anything like that. Give it a go, see how I do. Sound good?
Sounds great. I'm
very good.
Taking a look at this storyline right now.
Yes, the two ninjas dueling, and one of them falls. And it implies here that the one who fell, because he disappeared, was Ryu's father.
Ryu, I'm on my way to a duel of life or death.
That's not what the text says.
I know.
Close enough.
The point is, this is a game about ninja revenge, right?
Except there's Americans and Walter Smith, archaeologist. So we'll see how I do. Actually, it was funny. A couple weeks ago, I tried to record me doing this and completely failed open. And after I completed the game, after about an hour, realized I never clicked record. And this is a wonderful trigger for me to look over at the computer and confirm that is in fact recording, and it is, and we're at the title screen, so I'm going to push start.
This is a dry run for me because I didn't watch you play it last time, so I know nothing of this game.
Yeah, so we'll see how this one goes. Last time I got through it in about an hour. Hopefully I can do the same because we're recording this somewhat late. We're recording this somewhat later in the day, and there is an aspect of wanting to go to bed.
So my initial feeling on this game is it kind of looks like Turtles.
You mean the original Turtles? The
original Turtles. It also kind of reminds me of Double Dragon.
So Double Dragon resonates with me a little more just knowing about the genesis of even that.
Well, it's the fences, okay? I'm just picturing, a pizza box next to the fence and pizza time.
Oh, that was dumb. Those are the box enemies. I think it's just really the NES aesthetic, because I was about to say to you, I think that the original Double Dragon was the same developer, but it's not. That was Technos. This is Tecmo.
Tecmo of Tecmo football fame?
Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl, but it was a football game.
It was a football game.
I love that game, actually.
It was the same developer.
So
this first boss is very lame because one of the goofy things about this is the hitbox for your sword is that it extends longer than the actual sword itself. And so I guess this boss is a way to teach you that you can stand outside of the range of the big guy's bigger sword with your short, stubbier sword, and your hitbox is actually longer.
Yeah, but the question is, when you first played this game, how long did it take you to figure that out?
That's a good point. Actually, game design is a very interesting topic, and a lot of level design really is designed to kind of ease you into games. Anyway, I'd never thought about any of that stuff when I was a kid.
Naturally. Being someone who played a lot of side-scrolling games in my day, it took a while to figure out the patterns.
Well, that's all that was back in the day.
Right, and by now you're like an expert at these old-school patterns, I would say.
I'm not sure patterns is the phrase I would use. Mechanics, but yeah. There's just kind of
there's a pattern to movement of the boss.
So, he gets shot, but it was only an anesthetic that he got shot with. Some way to ask a favor, sneak up on you, shoot you with an anesthetic, and put you in jail. Interesting storytelling.
It's looking more like Turtles there.
I will say this. The cinematic attempts, again, for back in its day, pretty impressive. Like the fact that they're trying to tell this story, they have these cinematic cutscenes, to try and tell a story. Was definitely something that I feel like they were going for here in this game that was, for its time, somewhat ambitious.
Well, the jumping itself looks like it's a lot better than the typical game.
So, the jumping mechanics The control of this game is pretty responsive, so that I think is one of the things that has led to the appeal to this game over time. It definitely is responsive, but at the same time, it's also not too forgiving. I can't get it there.
Yeah, but it's no Castlevania jump.
Well, Castlevania is like the tank jump.
Yeah.
This actually, so the other day I was going back and watching the reviews of YouTuber Matthew Matosis, who every once in a while will still put out a video. Anyway, but back in about a decade ago, he spent time to review all of the original Mario games. And he made the assertion that I had never thought about, that really what was one of the revolutionary things about the original Mario game was I think I missed that jump. No, I didn't. One of the revolutionary things of the original Mario is actually the ability to control your jump midair.
Yes.
That may in fact be a very good assertion.
That was a fascinating point.
Yeah, I tried to think about it to see if I could think of a counterexample, and I could not. So he very well may be onto something. And to date myself somewhat, when I played the original Mario, that was one of the first games I had played, and I thought that was... So one of the things that this game does is, and if you're at the right spot, enemies will just continuously respawn at a very aggressive pace. Again, you have to be at exactly the right spot. But sometimes you can also use the enemy spawning to your advantage if they walk off the screen at exactly the right time. I'm glad I turned around to get that, although I wasn't sure I was going to make that jump. If you walk off the screen at exactly the right time, or the enemy will walk off the screen and they don't respawn. So, like the length of the sword slash I was talking about in the first stage, there is an aspect to learning how the game behaves that you can leverage to your advantage.
So that sword actually looks pretty short. How does it handle? I mean, you're having no trouble defeating these guys, but it looks to me like it's pretty short and would be hard. You'd have to be really up close.
Well, once again, I think that's one of the takeaways from that first boss is that the hitbox for it is actually beyond the graphical tip of the sword. At least I would assert that.
Right. But that messes with your head, right? You're trying to fight. So
this here boss, he really kind of forces you to learn the wall jump mechanic that I was doing. In this game, I guess somewhat similar to Mario, it does allow you to control your jumps in air, but there's definitely a reverse momentum that's tougher to, it's not as nimble in the reverse direction. So to climb those walls, you have to jump away and then go immediately back. And there's definitely a timing to it, much like, Super Metroid and later games like that, where there was a timing to the wall jump. So this game has the very Markian notion of kind of always being on the run and kind of thinking while you're on the run. Again, just kind of one of the interesting storytelling techniques that this game is out there. So this game is 6 stages total. This is Act 3. So this is when you first meet up with the archaeologist Walter Smith that your father sent you after in the letter. He recognizes you immediately as your father's son, Ken Hayabusa's son. What was I saying? I went down a rabbit hole trying to explain the story. and then
You were talking about the jumping mechanic and how you had to do that with the boss. But my mind went to, the sword looks bigger when you're fighting the boss than it actually looks when you're jumping and using it.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Like, I want to go back and look at that again. It looked twice as long to me during the boss fight than it did.
Yeah, again, I think it's
some glitchy thing. I don't know.
Again, this is one of those fascinating things about games. Like, the way they're balanced, like things like hitboxes, hit stun, like a lot of that is really a way to balance the game and kind of create a feel, quote unquote, to the game. And so I guess I've played this game enough as a kid that I just kind of know the feel.
Right.
Have the feel of the game down. Just like, so You're a big fan of the Donkey Kong games. You just kind of have a feel of the jumping, right? It's kind of one of those interesting things of how the human mind works and how it kind of interacts with, these rule sets that you really just kind of intuitively get a feel.
Right, like it's hard for you to go back in time to how it was the first time you picked this game up.
It's impossible. Like, it's like learning how to ride a bike. Try going back to when you forgot to ride how to bike. You can't.
Like, if I picked up this game, I would not have the same experience that you're having right now.
But the story would be the same. You would be experiencing the story.
Now we have this yellow statue.
Yes, that's the light statue. The purple one is the shadow statue, which just got stolen by this guy.
Ninja Run. Ninja Run.
So we were babbling, but basic premise of the story at this point is you find Walter Smith. He recognizes the statue that the mysterious woman gave you, and he explains it to you as half of the seal for the ancient evil. Totally reminds me of a bunch of Japanese stories. Naruto comes to mind, where there's kind of the sealing away of evil rather than actually defeating of the evil. And I throw out Naruto, but that is just one of many.
There is the Japanese tales.
Yeah, again, just kind of this notion of sealing away evil because it's so powerful it can't be defeated,
and now I have Friday the 13th vibes.
By the water in the lake?
Yes, and the rocks. The rocks look similar.
So one thing it took me a while to kind of learn in this game that you see a little bit of what I'm doing is there's a bit of a flow to it, and sometimes just keeping your flow going and jumping over enemies is way better than like stopping and trying to turn around and slash them or something like that.
In a lot of these older games, that's the case too, though. Like, jumping and hitting is the best strategy.
No, but I was more commenting on, like, just not engaging the enemy at all. Like, keep running and just...
Right. But I'm saying, like, that's... I've noticed that in other games as well. Of the older variety.
And unfortunately, this is where I...
Like Castlevania. You're best off doing that as well. Castlevania 3, of course, is what I'm referring to. That's the Castlevania game that I call Castlevania.
Well, I think that was kind of the one that... It's funny, for a lot of these older games, I feel like, these well-known series, there's kind of a period of time that it took the developers to, I'll say, perfected the formula. And I feel like Castlevania 3 was kind of where they had perfected the formula of the NES. But like a franchise like Mega Man, I actually think they perfected it in Mega Man 2. So it really depends on kind of the groove that the developers did or didn't think.
Now, what's the strategy for this guy?
So hopefully I don't botch it. He throws these. There's always a pattern where every third time he throws these ninja stars. That time was fourth. So
that's weird.
I think it's third. Anyway, he just bounces back and forth, and every periodically he throws those stars, and the trick is being close enough that you destroy them all in one slash. But also, luckily, I had enough sub-weapon that I was able to, even though doing poorly, kind of spam him with sub-weapon. So he goes back after retrieving the statue from the guy who stole it from him, and goes back, and the light statue is now taken. So a lot of statue swapping. He gets the shadow statue. It gets stolen when he finds the light statue, so Ryu never has both statues. And then he goes to retrieve the shadow, and the light gets stolen, and this Walter Smith guy gets killed.
He looks like a zombie right now.
That's their way of trying to communicate that he's dead.
That's creepy.
That's how I always interpret it.
Wow, it's really creeping me out, actually.
Well, I mean, there's again, just something too, like, it's one of these somewhat ineffable things that, like, a human. Like, you recognize when a human's dead.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
And again, this is their 8-bit attempt to try and capture that.
Oh, now we have a girl ninja here?
No.
Oh, that's the ninja?
No, it's men in hats.
No, but looked like ninja had a ponytail. I wasn't sure. Maybe I'm having Metroid vibes right now.
Yeah, there's no female ninja in this game that I'm aware of. So now the CIA is involved. Foster. So the men in hats were the CIA people. Ambiguous whether or not. It's funny how people just show up behind you with guns all the time.
Ninjas versus guns.
So he assumes that the CIA killed Walter Smith, of which, of course, they deny and give you information. So we're through 3 stages. Again, so this is the halfway point from a quantity of stages. But really, the difficulty curve in this game ramps up as it goes on. And where all the time is consumed is in the final stages, because that's where you die more frequently. And as you continue to die time and time again, that's where the time racks up. So we'll see how it goes. How long this takes will directly be a function of how well I play. And after about an hour, if I'm not even close to beating it, I'll probably just quit for the night.
What are we looking at now?
A picture of Gardia Demieux, who calls himself the Jacquio.
He looks like a bear.
So this is kind of the intro to the bad guy of the game, basically.
A bear or a really bad suit?
I will tell you that as the game goes on, you will see him multiple times and kind of get a better picture of what he looks like. But again, this is one of those interesting things about these older games, is that the graphical limitations kind of left a little bit more up to your interpretation. Because now things can be rendered in such a crisp visual.
It's like an ink blot test.
A little bit.
I don't know what I'm looking at sometimes.
Yeah,
This looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain, that statue.
Again, so they're just getting it more into... So now they're introducing the Black Moon. When the Black Moon shines and the statues are together, it unleashes the evil that was previously sealed away. It's always about power. It's always about the acquisition of power. And controlling the world.
The ninja never wants to control the world. The ninja always just wants
so now
to
they mention that the woman who shot you was also an agent of this man Foster. So before we were going after the shadow statue that was stolen, now we're going after the light statue that was stolen. With the shadow statue in hand. I can only imagine where this will go. You're going to get the one statue with the other one in hand.
And the demon's gonna show up.
Time will tell. And now we're going to the Amazon. That's actually one of the funny and interesting things about this game is, so this is the ninja in
Different
the
terrains.
Ninja in the Americas. He starts in the United States and then goes to
And now we have
yes.
Bayou Billy.
It does have the Bayou Billy button. But again, this gets a little bit too, I'll say a limited number of palettes that the NES would produce. Yeah, that was close. I really cut that close.
I would love to watch you play Bayou Billy.
So I have issues with. So luckily, I don't have the cart.
Don't I have it?
I don't know.
I think I have it, and I should make you play it. I love Bayou Billy. I don't care.
So my recollection of Bayou Billy is it's one of those games that's very difficult for all the wrong reasons. Like
It is difficult.
But like for again, bad wrong reasons. Like I'll call it design issues. Kind of like what the hell were they thinking when they decided to do this? I seem to recall all of the regular baddies just have tons of health.
I
I
forget.
think there's okay. It's not the case. So there is the temple that is.
Okay, I'm getting major Castlevania vibes now. Just saying.
It's funny that you say that because to me this is the iconic Ninja Gaiden scene right here. Like if there's
Yeah.
one scene from Ninja Gaiden that's iconic, it's that right there. Him standing on the edge of the cliff.
And now we're in a train. We're in a cave with a train.
And then right after the iconic scene,
Rail
you go
car.
to this stage here with like the super high energy music that's very memorable. Like, to me, this is like the aesthetic of Ninja Gaiden right here, in a nutshell. And so I'm gonna be a little more liberal with my sub-weapons because they really help. And I have 50 Ninpo.
What's that beeping?
That was the, I had gotten an item that stops time,
Oh, okay.
and so that was kind of the countdown.
Got it. The infamous time-stopping sound.
Oh,
I thought you were running out of time.
is this?
That's another interesting thing about these games is they also had a timer, so you couldn't take too long in a stage.
Yes, you. In fact, the other day I was playing Streets of Rage 1, and there was one boss enemy that I just could not figure out how to get enough damage on, and I totally lost a life because I just ran out of time. Like as soon as the timer hits 0, it immediately kills you.
That is not something you deal with in games anymore.
No.
Not a single game I can think of has a timer.
And it's very interesting because I feel like in general, games these days are, trying to milk the time. They're trying to get as much time and content as they can out of the experience because they think that's what people want.
Well, many people probably do,
Oh, I wasn't sure I made that
but
jump.
there's old school people like you who want something different.
Well, I think what it is again, the replay value comes from it's difficult and you just got to practice again and again and really kind of learn the game's mechanics, learn what the game is going for. See, there was an instance where like the guy walked himself off, he'd like jumped himself off the screen
And it keeps coming back.
yep, that's that respawning behavior. Oh, I almost died there. 'Cause if my sword had not gotten his bullets,
You're getting knocked off the screen.
right, those bullets.
Now, see, Friday the 13th,
Yes.
Jason was there.
I agree. That is very much a Jason-looking character because he's got like the hockey mask deal going on.
Yeah, that game gives me the creeps. Like, I'm just hearing that sound when Jason shows up. It was terrifying, and all it was a couple little pixels. And now here he is to haunt my dreams again.
I'll say this. I think some of it was just the knowledge of the game or of the movie itself.
No, I don't think so. I think it created an atmosphere. They just knew what they were doing. They knew how to make it creepy. This is where the wild things are.
So the interesting thing about this particular boss is there's two of them. One of them can be damaged, and one of them is just like a fake.
That's cool. Interesting way to do the boss.
So keeping track of this is the real one. The real one's closer to me. And now I've completely lost track. The shell game was successful. And kind of underneath this pedestal here really is kind of a safe spot, like if you place it right. Because when they jump, they will land on that pedestal above. And here I am saying, and
You were wrong.
he threads the needle and lands right next to me. So one of the other annoying things about this game is when you die on a screen, it brings you back to the beginning of the screen. When you die on the boss, it brings you back to the beginning of the level. And that effect actually gets worse as the game goes on. Like, it punishes you like heck if you die on the last boss. It brings you all the way back to like the 3 sub-stages of punishing stages.
Yeah, games were definitely designed to punish people in this time.
Well, and what's funny about it is, one of the things it really did is it made the game hard to practice. Like, one of the ways it preserved its difficulty is that it was hard to practice because there was really, or you had to get so good at the stage to be able to get to the boss reliably.
And hence why I never finished a lot of games in this period of time.
And I forgot which. There's Jason again. So I have no Ninpo.
As you were saying that you were in a safe spot.
Right. Well, that's why. Of course. It's Murphy's Law in action. Okay, but now I have full health, so if I botch it this time, it is completely my fault. Like last time I came in with like a third of a health bar or something. So like, shame on me for screwing poorly on the boss. This time. I was gonna say to rub salt and watch me once. See it? It's when I'm saying stuff.
Yeah, you gotta focus on this boss, man.
Causes problems.
Let me say stuff. Like, these enemies really look like the book Where the Wild Things Are.
Like I was more getting at jinxing myself and focus issues, but so what did I get into?
Whatever.
Anyway, so that's stage 4. So there's the Jacquio again. So,
Now he looks like a slug. No!
Again, yes. Well, he's asking for the statue.
Do you know what you're saying? What?
Nani? It's like, where'd she come from?
Where's the gun, lady?
I know.
Had no problem pulling the gun on the ninja, but now you're in trouble? No, don't give it to him. That is such lame standard dialogue right there.
Again, this is a translation. I mean, it's better than some of the translations back then.
No, I know.
Speaking of Castlevania, go to Castlevania 2 and look at that translation. Have a nice day.
See ya.
That's one of those.
Ah.
So this is another one of those interesting things. For some reason, Streets of Rage, I'm getting Streets of Rage vibe on this one again too. So in the final boss of Streets of Rage, if you get to the final boss, he asks you, he's like, you did a good job getting here. Do you want to be my henchman? So...
Oh, it just happens to be tonight.
Of course. Typical storyline where the bad guy starts to win and you need to steal victory from the jaws of defeat or whatever the phrase is. But anyway, Streets of Rage. So he says you did a good job and he asks you to join you. If you say yes, he drops you down a pit and you have to do like the final 2 stages again. It's like, that is the most brilliant punishment for, like a lot of modern games, it gives you this facade of choice. Like, it's not a facade, like it gives you the choice, but the consequences of choosing the quote unquote bad path is that it gives you like an extra scene, call it a bad ending.
And you just start all over again.
And then you just reload like 2 seconds before the dialogue choice. And you're done. In Streets of Rage, it actually puts you back like 2 stages, and the 2 most difficult stages in the game. So it's like, you want to be a jerk? Here's what you get.
There used to be some twisted fun in game design.
Well, again, I think it's a little bit of the expectations, right? Like,
well, if games are too hard today, people complain.
I thought I was going to die.
Unless it's a game that is advertised as the most difficult game.
I would say there definitely is a pocket for like games that people like want to be difficult.
Right.
I think of
but it's almost its own genre.
Yeah, I think of like the From Software games, like Dark Souls, Soulsborne, as people call them. But they take a different, interesting approach to difficulty too. Like, this guy's ticking me off.
He is kicking your butt.
He's ticking me off. That's why I'm gonna jump over him.
With that said, I must say I'm one of those people who complains when a game's too hard, so I'm not judging anybody there.
See, I love it when a game is difficult. And I've really come around on this. Like, I kind of went through my own phase where I didn't necessarily ascribe to it.
You are in trouble now.
Yeah, I have like a sliver of life left. We'll see how it goes.
And a bird. I love the birds. The bats.
See, but now, again, here...
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal, because it literally started me at the beginning of that screen. But if I had died on the boss, it would send me all the way back to... This is bad. Okay. So you can see how the difficulty kind of ramps up. You take much more damage per screen. You really have to...
You have to be perfect.
And you have instances like that where you take a hit in the wrong spot and it dumps you into a pit.
Is this one of the games that Angry Video Game Nerd talked about?
He did review it.
Because that looked ridiculous right there.
He did review it, and he of course, is pretty funny about it and like really on point with some of his observations. You know, but he does end up with the, I think, accurate conclusion that even though this game can be difficult at times, it's not in it in such a unfair way that it's, you know, more a source of frustration. Like it's almost like, okay, I just didn't do good enough, and there was some health. So if I had found a way to make it to that spot, so this spot ticks me off.
Yeah, there's no way not to take damage.
Well, it's not the taking damage; it's that you need to end up low enough on that one wall so that you can jump across the pit. So was unable to beat the game without continuing. Not something I was expecting to be able to do, so not a problem. In fact, I feel like I normally have to continue before stage 5, so I'm actually ahead of my usual pace, if you will. Okay.
That practice session really helped you out.
Yeah, again, that's one of those... wasn't sure I was going to make it. The other thing you'll notice, so I only took 1 hit on that screen. I took 3 damage, so the game gets more difficult as it goes on, not only based on, you know, the frequency of pits, the locations of enemies relative to pits, their spawn locations. There are multiple things that makes it more difficult, and one of which is you just take more damage from certain enemies. Because I got hit 2 times now, and one was 3, one was... lobbers, or these guys who lob projectiles are the most annoying enemies in this game.
But you have a nice health situation there. You should just try to kill that bird first.
The bird is not my concern.
Oh, so you're ignoring the bird.
I'm completely ignoring the bird.
Okay.
It's all about the jump timing.
I'm so focused on the bird, I'm not noticing that.
There we go. That's it. Yeah, see that I continue to ignore the bird. And if you don't...
That was close.
I was going to say, if you don't kill the bird, you're going to get hit there. But that's okay. I'll take the hit. So the other interesting thing is... I am going to... So the boss of stage 5 here is another interesting design decision in this game. Because he's very easy to beat through attrition. This lunging attack that it's very good at trapping you. Take them out. Oh. I'll talk about the boss as I get to it. Because like I said, this takes a little while.
Does this jumping mechanic prepare you for the jumping mechanic in Metroid?
Not at all. They're completely different.
Okay.
Because I know you struggle with the...
Yes, I really can't handle that jump.
So to me, actually, the wall jump in Super Metroid, a bit of a rabbit hole, but whatever. The wall jump in Super Metroid is actually a very interesting thing that I think really illustrates the difference between modern game design and older game design. So there's things like that you just have to know that that's going to be there, and
you have to memorize the stage.
Yes, I sort of knew that was going to be there, but at the same time, I kind of forgot. Like here, I know that tiger is going to come running the second I land. Oh, that was forgot to land. So the interesting design decisions of older games versus newer games. In Super Metroid, the game kind of it never tells you how to do that mechanic. What it does is it shows you creatures doing it, and it kind of implies to you that, like, no, you aren't stuck. There actually is a mechanic that can get you out of this situation.
You have to be paying attention and try it.
Right, you have to be paying attention, and then you have to be willing to experiment with the controller to understand the mechanics of how to execute with the controller. So I'm just about at the boss of the stage. He's up here, yes. So I have never been able to beat this boss the correct way. So basically, you can just turn around and keep slashing with your sword, and you have more. If you deal out damage quickly enough, you can just absorb all the hits. However, to actually dodge his attack is extremely, extremely difficult. And I don't think I've ever successfully dodged it once. So of course, the approach I'm going to take, at least this first try, is to try and dodge it.
Of course. You don't have a full health bar anyway.
I seem to recall that it restores your health bar, but
Oh, it does.
I'm not sure.
Yep, it does. What? Yeah, how are you gonna dodge that? Are you sure you're meant to dodge it?
Yes, the timing is very... next time, I'm going to try it one more time. I'm not going to go lean... See, but here's what's annoying. So now I got to go all the way back to the beginning of the stage. So I got to do this whole stage again.
No, there's your practice for where the tigers and the bats are. Yikes, man.
So what I did there, I was trying to do an early jump to not alleviate, but get around the fact that I knew that guy was coming.
Are you getting a little impatient?
No, not yet. I'll get there. Don't worry. But not yet. Okay, so this is where the guy with the gun appears. So gun, bat, wait for the bat again, jump immediately, and then go up and get the extra life. So this right candle here has an extra life, one of the 3 in the game, at least 3 that I know of, maybe.
That's another thing about these old games. They didn't have a lot of extra lives.
No, did not.
Or replenishing health.
But again, I think one of the genius things about it is it kind of becomes the challenge of the game is... Sorry, I wasn't sure if I had jumped far enough. Really, the challenge of the game becomes... You can try just beating the game on continues, or you can go back and try again. Can you do it without continuing at all?
Yeah, and there is incentive to try to do it.
So here's Bloody Mouth again. So what I'll do is I'll do...
I don't understand what is happening.
Okay, now I'm really stuck.
Did you just dodge that?
Yes.
So you did successfully dodge once.
Once.
I don't know what you did.
So I dodged it once that time and once the time before. So I'm going to try one more time the legit way, and then I'll just go the attrition way. And when I show you that, you will see why it's, in some ways, the dumbest boss design of all time.
Oh, I get it.
Because it's like, it almost entices you and dares you to do it, like, legitimately. But to do it, quote-unquote, illegitimately is so easy. Like, it's one thing to say, hey, we're going to challenge you, and, both paths are punishing, but both paths are not even close to being equal. One is extremely difficult. See, there was an example of he walked himself off the screen. One is extremely punishing, and one is just, I don't want to say laughably easy, but it is very straightforward. Because there are a lot of ways that even the attrition method can go awry, but in general, basically, if you get too close, the attrition method goes awry with that boss.
I feel like these games are good for exercising your memory.
Oh, definitely.
Like, I'm now starting to remember, guy with gun, bat, cat.
Yep, no, there's definitely a pattern to it. But you can also see how, okay, you die in the boss a couple times, and then maybe there's 1 or 2 parts where maybe you'll die one, on the way back, but you can kind of get all the way back. Because you've practiced at it. Okay, one more try. One more try the legit way.
was gonna say, I can see how you do it now. You just get on top of that pillar.
It is not that simple, though.
I'm sure it's not that simple, but that's where you have to be.
So that way felt like half legitimate to me. So the trick is you got to jump early enough and close enough to him that his lightning bolt can't reach high enough to get you at the top of the arc. But when he's too far back on the screen, there's no way to get that high above it.
Your father's alive. Does that mean his father's the bad guy?
Time will tell. This is totally a Darth Vader moment, by the way.
Yeah.
That's not true. That's impossible. And this game definitely came out after Star Wars.
Your dad is my boss.
And I will say Star Wars has definitely had. So here is Act 6, the final stage, and also the most difficult stage. By a long shot. So what I was going to say about Star Wars, I totally think like Final Fantasy 12 is Star Wars. There's Cloud City, there's Han Solo. Like, it's not Han Solo, it's a different character. But that character, Valthir, is obviously the Han Solo-esque character. Okay. Now that I'm almost dead on one screen, that's how stage 6 typically goes.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of enemies. And projectiles coming at you.
Yep. So let's see. See the lobbers. The lobbers are freaking pain. And we got these knife throwing guys.
Ninja stars, cats. Cats, bats.
Where are the rats?
Oh, jeez. Cats, rats, and bats.
What is that from?
I don't know.
Or did
I'm just saying it. It could be from something. Flying ninjas on jetpacks.
Yes, they were in the other. They were in the previous stage too, if you recall.
Oh, I do. I'm just didn't comment.
So that enemy is interesting.
Oh.
I was gonna say that enemy is interesting because he's much easier if you have the spin power, which I had, but now no longer have. He is very placed in an unfriendly place. That really requires quick timing on your part. I did it better that time. When I didn't have the safety cushion, I'll call it. And okay. I seem to recall this next screen being one of the more difficult. Well, not this one. This next screen being one of the more difficult ones in the game as well.
I'm not sure I understand all the enemies that show up, like what they're supposed to be, but that's aside.
Like that respawning spot there is just super annoying.
Yeah, like this soldier guy, or he's a ninja, I'm not sure.
So I navigated that screen, which, like I said, from my recollection, is one of the most unforgiving screens in the game. Yes.
Yeah, I'm feeling anxiety watching this.
Yeah, definitely not talking as much as I was before. Okay. So now 6-3, this is the final stage for the last boss. So what's funny is you noticed when I died at the boss in the previous stages, it brought me back to the beginning of the third substage of the world, of the overall stage.
Yeah.
If you die on the last boss in this, it brings you all the way back to the first substage.
So don't die.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen.
See, from the standpoint of watching one of these games, they are boring to watch when you're stuck over and over again.
This is one of the other very difficult screens in the game. And it's annoying too, because had I navigated it successfully.
Here's where your patience is going to be tested.
Nah, we'll see. I haven't got enough. So now it brings me back here, but again, not too bad. But if I had gotten all the way to the boss and died, I'd be back on the bridge. Which is very frustrating. Particularly because if you don't know what's going on with particularly the second form of the final boss, he's just a pain.
Is he your father?
No. What would make you think something like that?
All this talk about Star Wars.
I got it that time. Oh, I was just referring to Star Wars because you said your father's still alive, and he's just a liar.
Oh, I thought it was because he was actually Darth Vader.
Well, Darth Vader is not a character in this game.
I know, but I'm talking about...
Oh, the Jack Leo who looks kind of like Darth Vader even?
Yeah. I didn't mean actually Darth Vader.
Okay, my recollection is final screen before the last boss.
Oh my goodness, that's the same sound as the Tecmo Bowl. Now I know why it sounded familiar. We need to play some Tecmo Bowl.
Okay, so here is the last boss. So at this point, Ryu is mad. Show yourself. The Masked Devil. Totally Oni.
I was gonna say Oni.
As a kid, I had no clue, like the whole Oni thing. But...
What?
Nani?
Come on, man. That's what I said.
Right, but who's the Masked Devil? The Masked Devil?
No.
You don't know who the Masked Devil is. He's the Oni.
Yeah, that's my point. Exactly what I just said happened is what's happening. Wake up, father! No use. He thinks only of killing you.
What's funny about this is they did an interesting thing in this where it's like they want to introduce an interesting mechanic like, hey, there's a twist to this boss. But then it gives you a cutscene that tells you the answer. So you don't have to figure anything out. I mean, if you had been impatient and skipped this cutscene, you wouldn't know what to do. Like, even that, it's giving you a hint. What's controlling this?
Yeah, that's
this
a little
object,
lame.
But then it's like, that's it. It's like, okay, I guess I wonder what I'm supposed to do in this fight. Maybe I'm supposed to go after the red thing?
And not Dad.
Well, the funny thing is, my recollection is you can't actually hit Dad.
Right, but the assumption is you would try to hit Dad if you weren't paying attention.
Correct. Well, I seem to recall my first time playing this after having played for a long time. I even said to myself, I'm not even going to pay attention to the story. I'll do that when I actually go to beat it for real.
So that part is fresh for you?
Well, no. But when I had first done it, I didn't watch that cutscene, and I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to do on this boss? But if you watch the cutscene, it tells you. It's blatantly obvious.
Father.
Are you Ryu?
Yes, Father. I thought you said there was multiple stages to this bad guy. Oh,
There is.
okay.
So this is where you see him in his full form.
Okay, of course. Maybe I've just seen too much stuff.
I totally agree. It's one of those things. It's so predictable.
Is Dad actually dead or just hurt?
You'll find out if I can beat this boss. So that is what the Jack Leo looks like.
Okay, I just can't get behind this boss because I really can't understand what he looks like. He looks different in every picture. Now I'm getting Bowser in the clown car vibes. Super Mario Brother or Super Mario World.
funny. This is definitely a boss that tests patience.
To which I have none. He's attritioning you right now.
Oh yeah. I would say we are neck and neck at the moment.
Yeah. But I think he gets more power out of you than you get out of him, so you got to hit him twice without getting hit.
Well, that's only because he's ahead. I would say each hit that we get on each other is 1 damage.
Oh, okay.
So it's literally who gets more hits in. Yeah, if he did more damage than you, that would make this fight all the more difficult. One thing I will say, games back then were at sometimes a little difficult on feedback as to whether or not you're actually like landing a hit. In this game, it's just a small sound effect. So like, I'm gonna jinx myself by saying it, but I feel like I hit a bit of a groove, which I then completely screwed up, but I didn't get hit. So no harm, no foul. There he is. So now one more form, but now you'll find out.
There's always 3 forms, isn't there?
There's always 3 forms. So at 51 minutes, so if I beat this boss here, it'll be just about the hour that I said.
Oh, of course, we forgot about the demon statues.
Throw them from the temple, a la Lord of the Rings.
Oh, so the 3rd form is going to be the demon from the statues. Is it a lunar eclipse?
The Black Moon.
We're screwed.
Of course. What video game doesn't have you trying to prevent the awakening of the ultimate evil and then you having to kill it in its nascent form?
Yeah, you haven't hit him at all. Oh boy.
So this...
Do you even know where to... Okay, you do know where to hit.
This gets to the comment I was just making to you about... One of the things about this game is its feedback when you're landing a hit.
Right.
It's not obvious. There we go.
Oh, good.
So on that boss, the difficulty there is each hit does a lot of damage. So you can only take a couple hits.
Wake up, Father. Wake up.
So what did I do? 2
Oh, come on. Really? They're going to kill him?
We'll find out.
I don't need that lame sauce.
What's funny is before the demon awoke, he was all about getting out with you. And
now he's like, I give up.
Now it's the passing of the torch. The demon's dead, so I can rest in peace. That's basically
why can't you just rest at home on the couch? Why does everybody have to die? Come on. Like I said, I think I've just watched too much stuff now. I only want good endings now.
I get it.
I've had enough tragedy in my storytelling.
Totally, once again, totally Castlevania.
Yeah.
And while I say that scene of him on the cliff was iconic, I do fully agree with you, by the way.
That it looks just like Castlevania.
That seeing the temple off in the distance is totally Castlevania.
And I forget which Belmont, but they're standing on the same kind of cliff with the whip in their hand.
I think it's all of them. Simon in the first one, Trevor in the third one.
Well, since I only really played the third one all the way through.
And 2 was just such a different beast.
Yeah,
altogether.
2 is its own thing. I have played 2 more often than 1.
So I didn't keep track. How many continues was it? 2 or 3? Either way, it was better than I did last time.
3.
It was 3 continues. 1 on stage 4, 1 on stage 5, 1 on stage 6. That sounds right. Now you get
This woman pulled a gun on him. Like, why is he chilling with her? And she, like, drugged him.
Foster. That's the CIA guy. The CIA was the bad guy. Or one of the bad guys. The Jack we owe was one. You were just the pawn that had one bad guy kill the other bad guy for you.
That's what I'm saying. Why do you, like, get this chick?
This is one of those weird segues. Like, she doesn't say anything. But she obviously doesn't carry out the mission.
Come on, man. I don't know why you would like her. She has not been good for you, man.
She shot you in the back.
I don't even know your name.
Right, you. That's right, you. Shot you in the back, never told you her name, and you're already in love.
And I'm in love with you, and my dad just died. I'm not feeling it.
Because you had to save her.
Yeah, but, like, that wasn't the original plan. He didn't know he had to save her until, like, 5 minutes ago.
Hey, man, they only had so much space on the cart. They had to, like, get the story moving along.
Yeah, they might have rushed it a bit.
Well, again, the storytelling back then in video games was just very different. So anyway, that is Ninja Gaiden. Like I said, I originally wanted it to be a blind playthrough. Definitely not the case.
Well, it was for me.
But particularly stages 5 and 6. There's a couple screens that if you don't know how to navigate them and you haven't like practiced navigating them, they can lead to frustration very quickly. And then the final boss, particularly that second form, where I was very slow and patient. You're going to be impatient. If you don't know where the openings are and you're trying to figure it out, you just get more frustrated and more impatient. So definitely not a blind playthrough. Maybe I will try doing. So I have Ninja Gaiden 2 cartridge as well, and it's been decades since I played that game. So maybe I will try doing a full blind playthrough with Ninja Gaiden 2. We'll see.
Right after Bayou Billy.
I don't know about Bayou Billy.
Just kidding.
Again, part of what my original objective with recording these was actually to kind of watch and chronicle the progress. Mm-hmm. But I ended up not doing that because it was sort of like, oh, I got 5 minutes, let me play Ninja Gaiden. Oh, I got 5 minutes, let me play Ninja Gaiden. And I would just kind of get practice, you know.
Lame, man.
So I kind of ruined what I had originally planned on doing.
Well, you have another shot with Ninja Gaiden 2. Hopefully, the storyline is a little tighter.
I don't know about that. It definitely.
I'm sure it's not, but I'm gonna hope for it.
It definitely has cutscenes. So anyway, it says thank you for playing. Also, if you stuck through the video, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll put up more of me playing various games. The common thread being, they're all difficult, and just like old Nintendo games, the only way to get out of the screen, I'm pretty sure, is to reset the console. I'm hitting start.
Nothing happens.
Like the program just ends, just like this video.